NYPD is targeting Muslim women.
Muslim women have been at the forefront of a national anti-war movement since the start of Israel's war in Gaza in October 2023.
They're the ones who are on the mic and the faces of the cops getting arrested.
And when they've come face to face with police at protests, dozens have had their hijabs forcibly ripped off by officers.
There is a culture of anti-Muslim bigotry embedded in so many police departments. It inevitably leads to violence.
Over the last few months, the news movement confirmed at least 18 of these incidents across the US since October 2023. Muslim women have described this as a targeted violation of their religious rights, one they say is meant to silence them and limit their freedom of speech.
I was being stripped. I felt humiliated.
But why are police resorting to these tactics? And how is it impacting one of the largest anti-war movements in the 21st century?
So this is where I have all my hijabs. That day I was wearing this one. It used to be one of my favorites, but I kind of just don't want to wear it anymore.
You're clear.
We traveled to Allentown, Pennsylvania, to speak to one student whose hijab was forcibly removed by the New York Police Department.
So I actually started wearing mine end of October 2023. There was one video that was trending, and it was men covering this one woman coming out of rubble and taking off their own shirt just to cover her hair. And then that kind of stood with me, and previously I never had an inclination to wear hijab. So seeing that made me implore why is modesty so important for people in times of genocide? So that was why I started wearing my hijab, just to as an act of faith, but also as an act of showing up for Palestinians.
Millions displaced, thousands under the rubble.
From October 2023 to August 2024, Shajneen said she attended anywhere between 20 to 30 protests for Gaza. But that momentum stopped after one demonstration that would change her relationship with protesting forever.
At that time where there was so much escalations in Gaza, and there was also our mayor, Eric Adams, calling for support for Kamala Harris. This enraged a lot of New Yorkers because Kamala Harris is equally complicit as Biden for the genocide that has been unfolding in Gaza. I knew that I really wanted to go to this protest, and I had to go alone that day.
Shajneen said there were nearly a dozen officers monitoring the area at the start, but she noticed that change when protesters started marching.
And you can see that calls were being made for more enforcements. When I saw the bikes, I knew that this was a huge escalation of the police officers, and that there was just so many of them. I wasn't prepared for this. I was stuck in a circle basically with police officers entrapping me and a whole herd of other protesters into a circle.
This circle that Shajneen found herself in is a police tactic called kettling, which they use to control large crowds. Officers surround protesters and corral them into small spaces while blocking exits. This can often force people into direct contact with officers, even those who may want to leave and disperse. These standoffs often lead to police brutality and violence. The practice is so controversial that the NYPD was sued for using it in 2020 during the George Floyd protests.
They started chanting, "Go back, go back." It's like the police officers were told all at once to start shoving us. That's when he had grabbed one of my hijab pieces and had grabbed it. I was looking at him directly in the eye, and I told him, "That's my hijab, that's my hijab."
I got you.
You're okay, you're okay.
I got you.
You're okay.
So when police officers had pulled this, it would basically cause my hijab to just shift over like this. At least this much was showing. So that entire amount. I don't know how else to explain it besides a noose. I felt like I was being choked.
Do you feel like he knew what he was doing?
I definitely think he did, because I told him this is my hijab, and he still did not let go. Him seeing me in the eye and feeling no remorse, I was yelling out, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." So not only did it feel like I was being stripped, I felt humiliated, and I also just felt like disgusted. I felt like I'm allowed to protest, so I didn't do anything wrong. So why was I in that situation where my hijab is being pulled off?
Neda Abu Asi is a Muslim community organizer and photographer who has documented violent police encounters.
And this is usually what happens, you know, there'll be an intermission for Salah and then you have the cops surveilling.
Why do you like photographing cops?
It makes it very clear to those who see the pictures that like these are the people that like are interacting with us on the streets. And in a lot of these photos, there's like aggression that you can see. They have like some pride in it, you know, there's like a fetish around it. Like they really do chase after women at these protests. I don't know if it's born out of a post 9/11 world or, you know, if it's the hijab that really frustrates them. But I think to see like women like that out on the street is something that they're really frustrated by. I don't know if they're sitting around in a room deciding, hey, we need to pull women's hijabs off. But I think naturally it's a byproduct of what these police are learning to do within the system. You know, it's always kind of ramp up the aggression, make it so that they never come out on the streets again.
And this intimidation tactic against Muslim women has been used for decades. In 2024, the NYPD had to pay out a $17.5 million class action lawsuit over arrests related to religious head coverings from 2014 to 2021.
Protesters who wear the hijab are being targeted, and when they're having their religious head covering removed in public, that's a violation of the First Amendment. That's something that is clearly illegal.
To learn more about the tense history between Muslim women and the NYPD, I spoke to one of the lead attorneys on that case.
You know, the history of anti-Muslim bias in American policing is, you know, incredibly old, whether it is, you know, the systematic targeting of Black Muslim organizations in the mid-20th century, the systematic targeting of Muslim Americans more broadly post 9/11.
These files from the NYPD's demographics unit show how police photographed and eavesdropped on conversations in coffee shops, travel agencies, newsstands, grocery stores, and car services.
According to Albert, these systems of Islamophobia are now being weaponized to silence anti-war protesters.
We've seen like a real willingness to use the post 9/11 national security framework to delegitimize political protests. It is really chilling. The guardrails have come off. Police have never liked progressive political movements. And so I really worry that Muslim speakers, Muslim protesters, Muslim students are witnessing protections of our Constitution really evaporate before our eyes, not because of a change in the law, but because of a change in the political climate and the willingness of police. Muslim women, particularly Muslim women who wear the hijab, are going to feel they aren't safe to take part in politics, in protest, in public life.
With what had happened with my hijab, I didn't really want to encounter any more people. I didn't want to have conversations. And I also didn't want anyone noticing me. So I typically go this way for classes, because I don't want to be in the academic row, which is where everyone walks for classes.
I stopped organizing. I started becoming more quiet. I had a lot of issues with just being in public spaces, doing basic functioning things. I've decided to take the action of pursuing this case of suing NYPD.
So here, this is Zarmeen. She's the other hijabi that's also in this case lawsuit. She had experienced brutalization and just a huge assault on her hijab.
Instead of backing down, Shajneen and other Muslim women across the country are resisting. In states like Arizona, Pennsylvania, Texas, and New York, they're suing for their rights to protest and practice their religion freely.
We wanted a policy change. We want NYPD to stop this fear tactic, put it in their training to make sure that they're not ripping off hijabs off of protesters.
We need political leadership that really holds police departments accountable for the way they behave. So we've seen a wholesale failure by civil society to really protect the invaluable place of protest in our public life and our political system.
As of now, there's no federal law that specifically protects Muslim women from having their hijabs pulled off at protests. Instead, they're forced to trust police to respect their rights. The same institution with a storied history of anti-Muslim bias.
And when we fail those who are speaking out, even those who we may disagree with, we are failing the very heart of our Constitution. We need a wholesale reimagining of what policing under the rule of law looks like in the United States.
I'd like to think that there are Muslim women who have never politically organized and have seen these things happen and thought, I need to get in there. You know, there needs to be more of us out there.
So like every time I wear my hijab, I always think about Gaza because that is the reason why I started wearing this hijab. Like yes, it was for my faith, it was for Allah, but I wore this inspired by the Muslim women in Gaza. I know that I am speaking the truth and I know that I'm not in the wrong. So I'm going to continue doing what I think is right.
The battle for legal protections for Muslim women is just getting started. If you want to keep up to date on this story and more similar investigations, hit the subscribe button and follow the news movement on socials.